San Francisco is becoming a filthy slum because of its drug-addicted homeless population.
This is District 6. Let me tell you what's wrong with District 6. District 6 has 16 cannabis stores. 16.
That's like $700, close to $800 a month. Free. Free money to the people in San Francisco.
I've been using drugs since I was 16, but I went to prison and I was in Reno, and I had a job for 2 years.
You understand what I'm saying? So what do people do with their money?
Somebody that was on drugs, so I wanted to do it, you know?
You
The current public employee who are sitting at City Hall and many of the board of supervisors, they are associated with the cannabis operators. They are not trustworthy right now.
The people that are here want the exact opposite of what the mayor and stuff is doing.
Welcome to Zooming In, I'm Simone Gao. Have you visited San Francisco in the past 5 years? If you have, you must have noticed how this city has changed. It's no longer the sophisticated coastal town immersed in history and culture. In fact, today, even when you walk around the War Memorial Opera House and the Grand City Hall, you have to watch where you're going because you might step on something unpleasant. San Francisco has changed dramatically in the past few years. The homeless population has gone up, the crime rate has gone up, and the streets are getting dirtier and dirtier. Who brought these changes to San Francisco? And is there a way to stop it? Let's explore these questions and more in this episode of Zooming In.
San Francisco was founded in 1776 and named after St. Francis. It is the cultural, commercial, and financial center of Northern California. It is also the center of liberal activism in the United States, famous for its leadership in the 1960s counterculture movement, sexual revolution, and peace movement against the Vietnam War. Now, this 242-year-old historic city might have earned itself a new fame, the world's filthiest slum. An ABC investigative report surveyed 153 blocks of the city, including popular tourist spots like Union Square and major hotel chains, City Hall, schools, playgrounds, and a police station. They found the city overrun with large heaps of garbage, food, and discarded junk. The investigation also found 100 drug needles and more than 300 piles of feces throughout downtown. These are left mostly by the city's close to 7,000 homeless population.
My name is Ellen Li Zhao. I am a public health worker. Every month, our city spends so much money on homeless, but look at the homeless we have in here. This is Golden Gate Avenue, corner of Hyde, okay? If you look at here, we have the homeless. We spend the money, but we are not helping the homeless the way that we're supposed to help. Look at that. Look at the drugs we're facing. Look at the people, the life that we waste.
Ellen Li Zhou is one of the 8 candidates running for San Francisco mayor in 2018. Ms. Zhou is a social worker, public health worker, and an independent. She took us on a tour through the most dangerous parts of San Francisco, where she works routinely with the homeless population. According to research, 60% of the homeless population in California are either drug addicts or suffer from mental illness. The rate we discovered around Tenderloin, downtown San Francisco, was even higher. Every single one of the homeless people we interviewed had problems with drugs. Some of them have been on the streets for a long time.
That's 16 years ago. Wait a minute.
No,
18
years ago.
Wait, if you're 30 years old, 18 years ago, you were 12 years old.
Yeah.
Wait a
First time I
minute.
hitchhiked up here, I was 12.
Wait a minute. Where are your parents?
My dad, I don't know. My mom, she lives in Texas now.
Do they know that you're homeless in San Francisco? Would you like to go home? If somebody
No,
give you a
this is
ticket,
home.
you like to be in here.
I've been living here for. I grew up in California, like.
Okay.
But I mean, I hitchhiked up here back in 2001. This is my first time traveling. Like, I traveled, like. This has been home base since then. Like,
You have been homeless?
Clover has been in juvenile hall, foster care, and shipped back and forth across the country since she was 12. Now, she and her high school sweetheart have both ended up on the street. Not many people would call living on the street home. But compared to other places, San Francisco does provide the most generous financial support to the homeless population. However, Ellen Jo believes this is exactly what the problem is.
But the current administration use so much money that is useless. Right now, an average minimum 6,000 a homeless a month, and the homeless population grow and grow. It gives me a message and tells people the more welfare that we spend on homeless, the more homeless we will come.
About 30% of the homeless population in California came from other states. Besides welfare programs, a referendum called Proposition 47 passed in 2014 in California, which also contributed to the growth of the homeless population. Proposition 47 was a measure that recognized some nonviolent offenses, such as drug and property offenses, as misdemeanors rather than felonies. Before, drug offenders were typically faced with a choice: go to state prison for committing a felony or participating in a 1.5-year mandatory drug treatment. Many chose to enter treatment. According to a Washington Post report, 60% of those who enrolled graduated. 70% of graduates stayed out of trouble for at least 3 years. But now more addicts would rather spend a few days in jail on a misdemeanor than go through 18 months of rehab. As a result, these untreated drug addicts end up on the street. The American Civil Liberties Union donated $3.5 million to support this measure. According to a U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development report, as of 2017, California had about 134,000 homeless people, up nearly 14% from the previous year. California accounted for almost half of the country's unsheltered population in 2017. San Francisco's total homeless population is not as big as some other major cities, such as New York and Los Angeles, considering it is only 46 square miles, but it has the highest portion of unsheltered homeless, counting 511 people on the streets for every 100,000 residents. Coming up, why isn't the city's policy to tackle the homeless and drug problem successful?
The homeless problem has emerged as a major issue in this year's election. In 2018, California is going to elect a new governor, a new mayor for San Francisco, and many other state and federal officials. Although the candidates do not agree on solutions, more and more of them tend to agree that the current policy has problems. And they are not alone.
You get more money, government gives San Francisco more money than any other city, such as Oakland, LA, and stuff like that.
But if the rent is so high, you know, if you ain't got no aid or
For people who don't work, they get $488 a month.
I was in Vegas for 10 years and I went to prison 3 times.
Yeah, but a couple dollars away from $500. Free money.
Free food?
Free money. No, then they give you, no, listen to this. Then they give you $200 worth of food
Yeah,
stamps.
for myself, for my habit or something.
So what is
you
that?
know? I got
That's
2 kids.
so-
and my
so
kids is
technically,
in Denver
that's
with my family because I was a drug addict.
800 or something.
That's like
You know, I've been a
$700,
drug
close to
addict for so
$800
long,
a
and that's
month.
really all I
Free.
know, but I don't have
Free money. To The people in San Francisco.
I've been using drugs since I was 16, but I went to prison and I went to Reno and I had a job for 2 years.
You understand what I'm saying? So what do people do with their money?
Somebody that was on drugs, so I wanted to do it, you know?
You figure it out.
But can't nobody help us, but you understand?
What do people do with that money when they are drug addicts and have to sleep on the streets? This group of friends are all on drugs. And in terms of getting drugs, San Francisco is a paradise.
This is District 6. Let me tell you what's wrong with District 6. District 6 has 16 cannabis stores. 16. The most busiest police station of all in San Francisco. Drug dealings, cannabis, and homeless. A lot of police activities that include prostitution. That's what's wrong with this. And you come in here, you smell. You smell cannabis, you smell urine, you smell feces, and you smell a lot of things that is not supposed to be in here. But that's Tenderloin. This is the heart of Tenderloin.
I was in many of the public hearings. I remember clearly in my head. We said it to them, we do not want a cannabis store next to 3015 San Bruno, because there's a preschool and a daycare right next to that proposed location. You know what they say? They said it is necessity to have a cannabis store that kills people's voice, because 85% of the people live nearby within a 600 block. They said, no, thank you. Stay away from our kids, stay away from our residential area, but yet they passed the regulation. They allow them to have a cannabis store right next to daycare. You know how I feel as a government employee? I just feel sick. I went home that night, I couldn't sleep. That's how sad the government practices right now. I, as a government employee, I stood up and said, enough is enough. I was nominated.
Allowing a wide cannabis presence is not just progressive thinking. Ellen Joe reveals that there are close connections between cannabis operations and political contributions.
I am the only mayor candidate that stood up for all of the San Franciscans. All. I am the only candidate able to stand up to tell you all of the San Franciscans. The current public employee who are sitting at City Hall and many of the Board of Supervisors, they are associated with the cannabis operators. They are not trustworthy right now. That is my experience. Here's why. I went to one of the cannabis community outreach event. In that setting, we were told they train people how to avoid federal arrest. They train people how to say things to the federal agents when they come and arrest people. You know what it means? The local government failed to deliver sound government practices, and they teach people how to be criminals. And here's the bad message.
Recreational cannabis is not the only drug that is easy to get in San Francisco. You can get other drugs easily too. This attracts more drug addicts to the city.
You live in San Leandro. Yeah. You come in here.
But she's a drug addict. No drugs.
Oh, there's no drug in San Leandro.
There's drugs, there's just not a drug area such as.
But you have to look and find them. They're not just on the
San
street.
Leandro. There's no drug in there, so she has to come here to get drugs in San Francisco.
There's drugs in San Leandro, there's just not.
This woman does not work. She receives welfare from the government and maintains a $500 per month apartment in San Leandro. She travels to San Francisco to get drugs every week.
You have to come back.
When drugs and homelessness combine, it can be dangerous for everyone. Needles are scattered everywhere, and people die of drug overdoses on the street. How does the city cope with this problem? London Breed, president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and the acting mayor of San Francisco, helped secure funds to open the first safe injection site where people can go in and inject drugs with someone on the side to watch for overdose and help collect used needles. In mayoral candidate Jane Kim's district, This function is expanded to pit stops. Although the main purpose of a pit stop is to serve as a mobile bathroom, it also collects used needles, and drug addicts use it for injections. San Francisco resident Christine is not happy about what's going on around the pit stops.
But you know, I was surprised he was hired by DPW, and they hired him, and he's encouraging them to do drugs in the
bathroom.
Yes.
How do you know that they are encouraging?
I was standing there. That's why I have a little disposal. I took out. I have trouble with cognitive. I have trouble with cognitive. So I went out and I took the pictures of it.
So you're saying that DPW hire people to patrol the area and they encourage people to do drugs?
Yes.
Are you a resident in?
Yeah.
How long have you been living here?
My whole adult life. Almost 30 years.
If you have a choice, what would you like to see a new mayor do for you, or the city?
Basically, it's the issue. It's the issue of crime and stuff. You know, crime and drugs.
Crimes and drugs.
The people that are here want the exact opposite of what the mayor and stuff is doing. He's pushing, like he just did. He's pushing drugs. He wants to give them another drug, and it's like, no, get them off the drugs. If it's Narcan that stops the drugs, give them Narcan. Stop it.
Thank you.
Get them clean.
You're telling
Don't
nothing
give
but the truth.
Yeah, all they're doing is giving them a different drug. Who cares if it's methadone or heroin? It's just another drug.
That's right.
Get them off the drugs.
That's right. Thank you. You see the police? Homeless Advocates Project. Homeless Advocates Project right here. The government spend a lot of money on homeless, but they are not treating the root cause. Drugs, lost faith, lost hope, and no expectation. Just spend money and give it to them, it's not going to help them. We need to train, rehab, group them together. If they are sick, treat the sickness. If they are mentally ill, rehab them. If they are substance abuse, rehab them. We need to take care of people like families. If I don't want my kids to be on drugs, I don't want to see people on drugs. I don't want to see the youth on drugs. But look at the youth we have earlier. They're doing drugs in here. They're dealing drugs. They're selling drugs.
Coming up, what does the homeless population really want? What is the best way to get them back on their feet? Despite drug abuse and many other problems, a lot of the homeless people are still hoping to get a new start.
Yeah, I have a hard time functioning in like a workplace, but I want to go to school so I can be my own boss and have my own, you know,
That's
job.
a very good one.
And,
you want to go back to school and have skill and be your own boss.
I
like that.
Apply right now
I like
for
that.
City College for the Free City. Both of us have been trying to apply for City College, Free City for the fall semester.
Good, you have hope.
The opportunity. If I had somewhere where I can change my clothes, wash my face, and brush my teeth every day, then I would go and look for me a job.
Yes.
I'm 51 years old, and I don't want to live like this.
You know,
I know the city spends so much money, but the money is not going to you. And you continue to face the same challenges. Like you said, you want housing, you want a job, you want to have your life, and you're 51 years old.
The homeless people, we all know all the current policy fail the homeless because we don't expect people to be independent. We don't expect people to have jobs. We don't expect people to renew their life. We don't give hope to people. We don't love them. We only tell them, here, sleep on here, and that's it. That is not what a mayor should do. A mayor is to meet with them, explore what skills they have, and train them, be the best they can be, and help them to rediscover their livelihood. Many people I talk to, they just want a little tiny push. Give them housing, give them a job, and give them the responsibility like a person. And that's what we need to do, independence.
A drug-addicted homeless population is one of the most vulnerable parts of society. No doubt we need to help them. At the same time, they can get better on the honor system, and it harms the rest of the society when they don't get better. How should our society deal with this problem? San Francisco has been the most faithful practitioner of the nation's progressive policy for decades. However, to more and more people, it's become clear that this policy is failing the city. The upcoming mayoral election and more elections in the future might become a referendum on it. Let's wait and see. This concludes today's program. Thanks for watching Zooming In. I'm Simone Gao, and see you next week.